So obviously we defined one more prop, that is event, and that event is setting the state variable. Now this whatever user action is there, I have to pass it to the component for showing on the screen. If I don't pass, the screen will not show the selection. I will see that. So what is the next action? Pass the user action back to component. So here we are talking about default value. We'll see a lot of examples in future where user has acted and that value is gone back to the user, to the component, right? So pass the user action back to the component, and in this case this is a default value. So default value is the prop and selected standard is the state variable. If you see the state variable, anytime you define a state variable, the state variable is defined to retain the user action. So user has clicked on a standard and its value is retained here. So that's why we define a state variable. And this state variable value set based on user action, that is an event here. So we're talking about two props here. One prop is the event, the second prop is its value which is been given by a component itself. We are sending it back and asking that component to show this value, right? So I'll show you that if I don't, let's say this is a function. So this is a function. If I don't set, so right now, if I go to this page, so by default, the value of state variable is select, right? If I go, so that is select. Now, if I go and press on nursery, so nursery is getting selected because nursery standard ID 1085 is set into a state variable. Here 1085 is coming as a value, it's stored in a state variable, and this state variable is passed on to searchable round component as a prop. So if I don't set this state variable, right, let's say I comment it out, so in click event nothing is happening, the state variable is not set. So what will happen on the screen? The screen will not select any row. Let's say I click on senior KG, it is still not going to select, it's going back to the standard. If I click on first, it will not select, it will go back to standard because I have not passed on the default value which is changed after user action. So user action is maintained in a state variable and that value is passed to the component back to retain it. I hope you have understood the importance of prop, the importance of state variable, and how event is used to define the state variable. So these are the steps. So pass user action back. So here event was given, here the state variable was used to send back, right? So these are the steps to show a dropdown working on a page. We are going to extend the functionalities of dropdown in the next session, but let's revise what is required. So you have to call a API to get the list, but the API is called using these three methodologies by data. So this is not a step, this is a React concept. The step is that you call this API into a use effect with empty bracket because this API can be called on page load. And then calling API is done using dispatch, which is Redux tool Redux hook provided us a feature called dispatch using which I can call the API. There are other ways to call the API. Once the API is called, the data goes and set into the store. This data is pulled on the page using useSelector, because if you don't call useSelector, data is going to remain into the store. Next step is that you pass this data to the component. Whenever user clicks on the event, the value is received from the component. That value is set into a state variable to return the user action. And then this state variable is passed back to the component as a default value to show that particular value. I showed you that if I don't set that in a state variable and I just pass the old value, the user clicked on a particular row, but still it is not getting selected. And the last step is to pass label, because whenever user comes to the screen first time, it has to know which drop down this is there, because there might be the next drop down which we are going to add tomorrow is division. So which one is standard, which one is division will not be identified until you show standard and division as a label, right? So pass the label as prop to the component. So these are the steps for showing a drop down into an API.